Retired fire department captain Ed Cushing tells us in his own words about a daring rescue and an astonishing encounter with the world of miracles.
I had the oddest dream. I dreamed that I was in a house fire and I saved 3 people. I went into the building and rescued 3 different people at different locations. I couldn't see the people, but I did know I did it.
Ed's dream was very clear and specific. He was going through a smoke-filled house and found 3 people, a woman and 2 young boys who had been overcome by the smoke. He got all 3 of them to safety, and for some reason felt very strongly they would be all right. Ed Cushing woke up with a start. It had all seemed so real. Was it just a dream? The very next day, Ed was on duty when there was an alarm not very far from the firehouse. They arrived at the fire with a minimum crew, knowing additional help would arrive shortly. Each man had his assigned task and followed very strict procedures. But for Ed, this fire was different. As he saw the thick smoke pouring from the house, Ed knew he had to get inside. As he entered the smoke-filled corridor, he realized everything was just the way it had been in his dream. Within moments, he had spotted the body of a young woman. And as he began to carry her outside, he saw another body, just like in his dream. And he knew he'd have to get back quickly if he expected to save him. Ed called to the other firemen to get a hose inside quickly, indicating that there were people in there. He placed his precious cargo on the lawn, then turned and raced back into the building. This victim turned out to be a boy, about 9 years old. There were still some signs of respiration if he could just get him out into the fresh air. Ed handed the boy to another fireman as soon as he was safely outside and rushed back to the young woman. He immediately began CPR, but there was no response to his effort.
What's the situation here?
I got 3 men inside. Fire's almost under control.
How long has she been down?
I don't know, over 6 minutes.
Normally, after 6 minutes without breathing or a pulse, a person is declared clinically dead. But for some reason, Ed couldn't let her go.
Please, God, bring her back. Give her one more chance.
Miraculously, the young woman's heart began to beat again. Ed could feel it under his hands. Then he remembered. In his dream, he had seen 3 people lying on the grass. Could that mean there was still someone left inside the house? The fire was out. All that was left was the killing smoke. None of the other men had seen anyone else inside, but Ed was certain that there was still somebody in there. Making his way through the still, dense smoke, he hurried up to the 2nd floor. And there he was. A small boy, barely 5 years old. He could detect no pulse, and he knew he had to get him out of there immediately. By the time Ed got the last victim out of the house, the paramedics had arrived, and for the first time, Ed could begin to relax. This was exactly what had happened in Ed Cushing's dream. The smoke, the 3 victims. Now in the aftermath, he wondered if the 2 boys would make it. Then he remembered how strongly he felt that the people he saved in his dream would be all right. Suddenly, there was no doubt in his mind. All 3 would be fine.
Then 2 years later, a woman was calling the firehouse, and she asked if I'd remember. And she says, I'm the one that you saved my life, my son, and my nephew. And she said she was getting married and asked if I'd give her away in marriage. And she told me, and her father agreed, that because I gave her back her life, she wanted me to give her away in marriage. So it was quite a thrill to do that.
Ed Cushing's strange dream and his courageous response brought to 3 young people a second chance for happiness and long life, all of whom would always remember that their new lives were the result of a miracle.